I want to teach you a little bit about the past perfect verb tense and the past perfect progressive verb tense. Now I know probably at this point, the last thing you want is to learn about more verb tenses. But the good news is you never really have to use the past perfect or the past perfect progressive. The important thing is to understand the meaning when you're reading. The past progressive and the past perfect progressive help you understand which event happened first. So in this case, we have two actions. A teacher stood up and someone knocked on the door. So the question is, what happened first? The teacher stood up, someone knocked on the door. In this case, the teacher stood up first, and then someone knocked. We have two simple past verbs, and so the first one will be first, and the second one will be second. But how about in this case? The teacher stood up, someone had knocked on the door. In this case, we have the past perfect. When you see the past perfect, you know that that is the event that happened first. So let's spend a little time to look at the form of the past perfect. What does it look like? So in the past perfect, you always have had plus your past participle. And so, I had forgotten. That will be your past perfect of the verb forget. You had had an operation. This looks weird with two hads, right? But it's absolutely correct because you always need had and then the past participle of have, which is also had. So had is your past perfect verb form of have. We had been sick. He had gotten the news. She had made her decision. They had hoped for the best. The past perfect shows that one event happened and finished before another event in the past. That means that you will always have two events or two actions at least. You can use the past perfect for the event or the action that happened first. It does not matter which one appears first in the sentence. So, for example, I had forgotten the code when I got to the gate. When I got to the gate, I had forgotten the code. I have two actions in each sentence. I put them in a different order, but the meaning is exactly the same. When I see past perfect, I know this one happened first. When I see past perfect here, I know this one happened first. So you can put it first or second in the sentence. It doesn't change the meaning. So let's compare the past perfect and the simple past. Because the past perfect is a formal way to show what happened first in a sequence of events. But you don't need to use the past perfect. There's other ways to show the sequence of events. If you use time words, such as before, after, when, by the time, things like that, your order will be clear. And in that case, you can use the simple past. So let's look. Imagine your date was late for dinner. You might say, I had eaten, my date came. Had eaten shows me that it happened first because it's in past perfect. Now, this sentence might sound weird to you, these two sentences. I had eaten, my date came. Kind of robotic, right? Usually, we will use some sort of connector word, like before or after. So, I ate before my date came. In this case, I can use the simple past because the word before makes everything clear. We know you ate first because of the word before. You might still use the past perfect. You could say, I had eaten before my date came. That is completely correct too, but it's not necessary. Let's look at some more examples. So we have this poor sick girl. Imagine that you felt sick to your stomach, but you decided to eat anyway. Maybe a bad choice, but hey. I ate dinner. I had already felt sick. Did the dinner make her sick? No. I know you felt sick first because had felt is in the past perfect. Compare that here to by the time I ate dinner, I already felt sick. In this case, I have that time phrase, by the time. By the time means before, sometime before. So sometime before I ate dinner, I already felt sick. That time word tells me that you were sick first. So I can use the simple past. I felt sick, or I already felt sick. I could say by the time I ate dinner, I had already felt sick in the past perfect, but it's not necessary because the time is clear. So let's practice a little bit with the past perfect. Change one of these verbs to past perfect. You have to figure out which one makes sense to change. So the teacher already gave the quiz when I came to the class. I have two actions, right? I have gave and I have came. Which one happened first? That's the one you will change to past perfect. So think about it. Maybe grab a paper, write it down. Ready for the answer? The teacher had already given. So it's common to put the word already in the middle, but your verb is had given the quiz when I came into class. Giving the quiz is the action that happened first, so you use the past perfect with that one. My shoes were wet. Luckily, they dried by the time I left. So we have two actions. The shoes dried and I left. Which one happened first? Put that into the past perfect. Are you ready for your answer? My shoes had dried by the time I left. That is the first action. So I keep talking about time words. There are many time words, but the most common are going to be words like when and while, before and after, by the time, which I said means sometime before, and as soon as. So that's right before. Now let's look at the past perfect progressive. First, the form. We have had and been. Those never change. Then you have the past participle. I had been waiting for an Uber. You had been talking to a friend. He had been smoking outside. She had been comparing both sides. We had been discussing the problem. These are all in past perfect progressive. Now, when you use the past perfect progressive, it's similar to the past perfect because the past perfect progressive tense shows that an event happened first. So again, you will have two events or more, and the past perfect progressive shows which one came first in time. However, you use the progressive form for events that continued in the past before another event. It's not just one happened, boom, and then the other one happened, boom. The first one continued until the second event. When she found her son, he had been hiding for an hour. So he was hiding for an hour before she found him. He continued hiding until she found him. So let's compare the past perfect progressive and the past progressive. You don't need to use the past perfect progressive. You can use just the plain past progressive plus time words for the same situation. So imagine you worked on the wrong homework. Then you realized your mistake and you were so upset. I had been working on my homework for an hour. I realized it was the wrong page. I know you worked on the homework first because that was in past perfect progressive. And then you use simple past, realized, for the event that happened second. Now here, I use the time word before. When I use that time word, the order of events is already clear. So in this case, I don't have to use past perfect progressive. I could just use plain past progressive, was working. I was working on my homework for an hour before I realized it was the wrong page. I know you worked on the homework first because of the word before. You still can use past perfect progressive, but you don't have to. So let's practice a little bit with the past perfect progressive. The students were working on the project when I arrived. Which one would you change? Obviously the progressive one, right? The students had been working on the project when I arrived. Here, same meaning. I tried the soup after it was cooking for more than an hour. Where could you put the past perfect progressive? I tried the soup after it had been cooking for more than an hour. The meaning is the same. So let's do a little more practice. You're going to change one verb in each sentence to the past perfect or the past perfect progressive. You choose the verb and you choose the verb tense. The police, that should say were looking. Should say right here, the police were looking for the criminal for 2 years when they caught him. So we're going to choose the earlier action and it's progressive. So we'll say the police had been looking for the criminal for 2 years when they caught him. My parents tried everything before they put my brother in military school. Which one happened first? Tried, right? And it's in simple past, and so we're going to use the past perfect. My parents had tried everything before they put my brother in military school. Let's do one more. She missed the appointment because she wrote the date wrong. Which one happened first? Writing the date, right? She missed the appointment because she had written the date wrong. All right, I hope this helps clarify the past perfect and the past perfect progressive for you. There will be more practice with it in your all verb tense practice to help you prepare for your quiz. Good luck.